Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. And now that we're only a few months away from the next NFL season, I decided it's time to rank NFL teams for the 2026 to 2027 season. And starting off, we have the Arizona Cardinals. I know they just drafted Jeremiah Love and Carson Beck, but I'm not sure if either one of them will do much for them. And I know they didn't have the greatest record this last season, but if they can have a healthy Marvin Harrison who can actually have a good season, plus Michael Wilson and Trey McBride and Jeremiah Love, I think they'll at least be better than they were last year. So I think I'm going to put them in meh. Falcons, I think I'm still going to put them in barely missed playoffs because the NFC South is always a mix-up every year. Like, I know they have Bijan Robinson and Drake London, and they have Tua and Michael Penix Jr. And they got Kevin Stefanski, which, honestly, not the biggest fan of him, but I think he's at least way better than Raheem Morris. Yeah, so we're going to put the Falcons in barely missed playoffs. I still think the Ravens will be a playoff team, but I don't really know if they're Super Bowl contenders now. I think Jesse Minter will be a good head coach for them, but sometimes it takes a while to learn a new scheme under a new head coach. And obviously, they have Lamar Jackson. And as long as he's on their team, I think they're always going to make the playoffs. The Bills. As long as they have Josh Allen and James Cook in that backfield, I think they're pretty good. And they added DJ Moore, who hopefully can be a wide receiver 1 for them. And if he doesn't pan out, well, add him to the long list of wide receiver 2s on their team. I might have to put the Panthers in wild card because unlike the rest of the NFC South, they actually made the playoffs. And they actually put up a good fight. And now they seem like they got even better. They signed Jalen Phillips and Devin Lloyd, and they got another wide receiver to go along with Teteroya McMillan. And Jalen Coker is also looking like a beast for them, so I'm interested to see what they do next year. The Bears, it's so funny how quickly Ben Johnson turned this team around. I'm putting them in deep playoff run. I was surprised with how good they did last year, especially in the playoffs. That was insane. Okay, on to the Bengals. I'd really like to put them in the deep playoff run tier, but they just haven't been that good lately. They obviously have an unreal offense. It's just that their defense is still pretty mediocre. So I think I'll put them in wild card. Just because I think if they can get away with some games next year, despite their defense not being the greatest, they can have a really good season. Okay, the Browns, I'm sorry, I think they're #1 pick contention. I know they got Denzel Boston and KC Concepcion, but I don't really have that much faith in 2 rookie wide receivers. And they just traded away Myles Garrett. And in return for Myles Garrett, the Browns got Jared Verse and a few picks. The Cowboys, I think I might put them in the wild card. They had one of the top offenses last year. It's just unfortunate that, like the Bengals, their defense hasn't really been good the last few years. But that's what happens when you get rid of DeMarcus Lawrence and Micah Parsons. Broncos, they're Super Bowl contenders. The Lions. I think the Lions will have a better season this year. They just have one of the best offenses, Amon-Ra St. Brown and Jameson Williams, Sam Laporta, Jahmyr Gibbs, and now instead of David Montgomery, they have Isaiah Pacheco, who I don't think is as good as David Montgomery, but he's still a good backup to Jahmyr Gibbs in my opinion. Now, the Packers. Yeah, I think they'll be a wild card team because they lost quite a bit of players, and they're probably about to lose Josh Jacobs at running back because of some of the trouble he's having in the offseason. Okay, Texans. I think they can have a deep playoff run because their defense last year was just insane. The only thing holding them back was their offense, and CJ Stroud was not playing at his best. The Colts. I think there's a chance they can make the wild card. Colts fans just have to hope that Daniel Jones is the same player after that injury. I know they lost Michael Pittman, but I honestly have high hopes that Alec Pierce will be a pretty good wide receiver for them this year. The Jags. I do think they will regress. They have all the signs of a team that's going to regress this year. Hopefully they can maybe change my mind, but just have to wait and see. The Chiefs. I think now that they have Eric Bieniemy back at offensive coordinator, and they actually have a running back now in Kenneth Walker, I think they can have a deep playoff run. I know their wide receiver room is very questionable right now, especially with Rashee Rice potentially being suspended, but this team has done more with less. But I definitely see them having a bounce back year, hopefully, but I'm not sure. Now, I really want to put the Chargers in deep playoff run. I know they have Jim Harbaugh, and he can basically turn nothing into something. I don't know, we'll just have to wait and see. The Rams, yeah, they're Super Bowl contenders. They have Matthew Stafford, Puka Nacua, Devontae Adams, Kyren Williams, and Blake Corum, and their defense looks insane. They got Myles Garrett and potentially could get Aaron Donald out of retirement, which is an unbelievable statement to be saying, but it's entirely possible. And we can't forget that they took 2 of the Kansas City Chiefs corners, on top of an already pretty good secondary. Okay, the Raiders. I know I put them in barely missed playoffs last year, but I think I'm putting them there again. I know they drafted Fernando Mendoza, but I think he's going to sit behind Kirk Cousins for at least the first half of the season, or if Kirk ends up doing really bad. The Dolphins, yeah, they're #1 pick. Sorry, right now their offense is just Devon Achane and Malik Willis. Vikings, they're in barely missed playoffs. Maybe Kyler Murray can, have the same magic that happened with Sam Darnold, but I think Kyler could be actually really good for them. Okay, the Patriots, they're still Super Bowl contenders, and they just got a bit better. They just added A.J. Brown. The running back room is pretty good. Drake May is coming off a really good Pro Bowl season. Saints, I think they could surprise people and make it to the wild card this season, because Tyler Shuck was playing very good football at the end of the season. So if he can continue that, I think the Saints might be set for next season. Plus, they got Chris Olave coming off his best season. They just drafted Jordan Tyson, and they just got Travis Etienne. Giants, I think they're still barely missed playoffs, but I think they'll have a way better season than they did last year, especially if Malik Neighbors is healthy. They just signed Juju Smith-Schuster and Odell Beckham Jr. I don't really know if they're going to do much for them, but if their whole team can stay healthy, I see them doing way better. And now they have John Harbaugh head coach. The Jets, I'm sorry, but you're being in the #1 pick category. I know they just got Kenyon Sadiq and Omar Cooper, but their quarterbacks are Cade Klubnik and Geno Smith. Geno Smith did not have a good season for the Raiders last year. I don't think he's going to do much for the Jets. Cade Klubnik, to be honest, might be the starter by the start of the season, but we'll just see. Okay, the Eagles, they can be deep playoff run. Steelers, I think I'm going to put them at the top of wild card because they got Aaron Rodgers back for one last season, but they have DK Metcalf and Michael Pittman Jr. now, Mike McCarthy, and they also picked up Rico Dowdle in free agency. The Seahawks, I don't think there's any question. They did get a little worse because they lost Kenneth Walker, they lost a few secondary guys. They still have JSN, Cooper Kupp, and Rashid Shaheed. Deep playoff run, the 49ers. If their entire team can stay healthy, they're gross. The Bucks, I'm going to put them in wild card. I think Ruben Bain is going to be disgusting for the Bucks this year. I know the Bucks lost Mike Evans and Lavonte David this offseason, but I think we've done a pretty good job this offseason of filling the void that both of those guys leaving made. Titans, I'm going to put them in meh. I would put them in barely missed playoffs, but their division is pretty crowded with good teams. They added a lot of players around Cam Ward. They got Wan'Dale Robinson, drafted Carnell Tate, and they got some offensive linemen to help Cam Ward. But a dude that I think will be a hidden gem for them from this draft is Nicholas Singleton. I think he's going to be a pretty good running back for them. Washington, I thought they were going to regress, but not as much as they did last year. They went from the NFC Championship to being a bottom-of-the-barrel team. And I think they'll definitely be better than they were last year, but I don't know if they're going to make it to the NFC Championship again. Anyways, guys, I hope you guys enjoyed the video, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace out.